Okay, Christina here to listen to some music. But this is also a very special video, and it deserves a special introduction. So very recently, I had the great pleasure of collaborating with a fellow music reactor here on YouTube, Virgin Rock. Amy and Vlad from over there on Virgin Rock were wonderful to work with. Amy sat down and so patiently interviewed me, and then we had a little bit of fun with some reacting, but I don't want to give too much away. I just wanted to explain, so when you see a video seemingly from Virgin Rock, but featured on this channel, that you still know what channel you're on and where you are, and I just thought maybe it would help. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Amy with Virgin Rock.
3, 2, 1. Hi everyone! Did you see the title of this video? Two classical musicians listen to a piece of music for the first time. For the first time for both of those classical musicians together. No, I didn't clone myself. I have another classical musician with me, and I'm so excited to be able to introduce her to you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Christina from OK Christina. Christina, can you give me the full name of your channel? Give everybody the full name of your channel.
Sure, it's OK Christina Listens.
All right, because you actually have two channels, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. So, there's a little backstory to this whole project here. As many of you know, one of my longtime faithful contributors and supporters of my channel and my journey is Lee Kennison. And not too long ago, he wrote to me and he said, there is another classical musician who's started up a listening reaction type channel, kind of like what you're doing. And he said, she seems like the real deal. She seems genuine. And I really like what she's doing. And I got all interested right away. And I went to check her out. And sure enough, OK Christina, here we are. And I couldn't help but remember, because how long have you had your channel running, this channel running, Christina?
About 2 months.
2 months, just 2 months. So it's early.
It's a baby
I couldn't help but remembering my early days as I was first testing the waters and seeing what this is all about, and still not really believing that anybody cared to listen to me listening to something, and being totally astonished at the response and interest that I found here and the wonderful community I found here. And so I remembered those days, which were almost 3 years ago now. Well, 3 years ago this summer. And I wanted to just ask Christina, how's it going? Do you need any help? And I wanted to introduce her to you, because obviously what she's doing is very good. And I want you to have the opportunity to hear from another musician, not just me, but another classical musician. So it's still the sort of classical background that I have. But of course, every individual comes with a slightly different perspective. And Christina is not a harpist. She is a violinist. You play violin and viola, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so today I thought we should get to know each other a little bit better. I have just, I looked at your channel. I watched one video you did, and then I contacted you right away. So it's happened so quickly. I personally don't know much about you myself yet. So I thought this is a perfect chance for me to get to know more about you, as well as to share you with my audience. And any of you who are interested in what Christina is doing, please do go and subscribe to her channel and help it grow and give her the boost that she needs, because obviously every little bit helps. And I think that you will very much enjoy what she's doing over there, just as you enjoy what I'm doing here. So, Christina, I know you have a few questions about me, because you don't know me very well either, although you've seen my channel a bit and you're familiar with it somewhat. But I want to make this mostly about you because I'm putting this on my channel and I want to share you with my audience. So I thought we could just have a little conversation about who you are. Where did you come from? How did you end up here? Because it's such an interesting place to end up, isn't it?
It is. A really unusual, but a really fun place to end up. You never know where a music career is going to take you.
No, you don't. And that's one of the things we always tell our students is you've got to be flexible. You have to be willing to adapt and find your special place in the music scene. And this just happens to be one where we both find ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so go ahead.
It's just such a great adventure. Even 2 months in, I'm
thrilled to hear that. That's how I felt too. I was like, what? Wait.
Right.
Huh? Does this seem really? Okay.
Yes, it's great.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. I mean, I don't know if you've seen my story, but it's on my channel. It's in my intro videos and stuff. And I can give you it in a nutshell if you want. But your story, how did you start? How did you end up in music to start with? When did you start studying music? And how, at what point did you decide to make it your career? What were the influences and things that kind of sent you in this direction early on?
I think there were several factors involved. I come from a really musical family. So my parents, grandparents, uncles, cousins, we all sort of have interest in music, a lot of them professional. So I was just sort of drawn to it naturally. Mm-hmm. And especially in choir also. My dad is a choir director. So I've always been singing. I'm not a soloist per se, but I have a lot of training in choral singing, which is one of my favorite classical genres. It's such a beautiful soundscape. I love choral music, but I actually started out on piano.
So excited to hear that.
Do you like vocal?
Because choral music is one of my first loves. Choral music is what I grew up with. Choral music is just this incredible world.
It is.
And so here we are, something in common right off the bat.
There you go. So I actually started out, though, for my first instrument, non-vocal instrument, was piano. And I started taking lessons when I was about 3. I was just like, hey, Mom and Dad, I want to do this. And so they were like, all right, if you can sit through a 30-minute lesson, then we'll get you some lessons. So, and then when I was around 11 or 12, the public school program came around with the orchestra program, and I fell in love with it. So, and I had enough time picking between the violin and the cello. But I went with the violin because it was easier to carry. And that worked out. It's completely the truth because I loved both of them. But it worked out well because my husband is actually a cellist. And so...
okay. So now you get the best of both worlds.
We have our own ensemble here. So,
and you only have to carry the violin.
That's right. I still only have to carry the violin.
I didn't take that into consideration.
I know, and I don't mean to make you feel bad about that at all. It's still a very fine choice. Harp is beautiful. So, and technically we are sort of all string musicians then. So it's quite
Have you ever heard the Kreutzer violin harp pieces?
I have. Not all, but yes, some. I know of them. Yeah. And I've done some duets with harp, like for gigs and you know, I've written some compositions for harp. And
cool.
So I know a little bit.
Fun.
But I've not actually played myself. So it's always fun to see someone else, the master of their craft here, and just be in awe of them. But
maybe sometime we'll get a chance to do a duet together. That would be loads of fun.
I would love to do that. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I started out really young and was just kind of always surrounded by music. And when I went to college, I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. It was what I got scholarships in, so I went ahead and did it. And it took me about 2 semesters. And I was like, this is it. I want to practice.
This is my world.
To perform. I love the classical music. And, you know, that was it. So Since then, I've been teaching. I have multiple degrees in performance, and I did keep up my piano, but just kind of enough to just accompany my students or use it in my compositions. And so here we are. I've lived sort of all over the country, kind of moved around a lot, and been teaching for most of my life. I'm a university professor, symphony performer. I've played in probably a dozen different symphonies over the course of my career. Some solo opportunities, recorded with some music groups out on the West Coast. You know, it's you just never know where this is all going to take you.
That's great.
And now here we are on YouTube and, you know, the interwebs, and it is amazing.
Oh, what a fun way to kind of end up. I mean, as classical musicians, you know, I think it's easy to kind of look down on some of these things. Oh, I'm not with a label or something. But that's kind of in the past, and this is the way in which we not only can enjoy and explore and learn more about music, share more about music, but also it expands our reach in terms of sharing the passion and the beauty in music, and being able as teachers to share it basically with anybody who wants.
Well, you know, there are a lot of people out there that have just as much passion about music that we do. They just didn't get the chance, or
they just don't have the opportunity
not to study it like we did.
Pursue it as a formal study. And and I think that is one of the amazing things about where we find ourselves in the world today, is to play a small part. For me personally, to be able to play a small part in perhaps you know, making somebody else's dream come true, to be able to learn and study and understand music more deeply. I think to me that is just incredibly beautiful thing.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I also have to say, for both the two of us, it takes a lot of time to be trained in classical music. You really become immersed in it. So I should explain. So I do know some of your story. That you were not exposed to popular music.
Yeah.
And so I was, but it was very limited. It was mainly like in my high school years.
Okay.
And the music that I chose to listen to at that time was like late 80s, early 90s music. So for like 3 or 4 year window. So a little bit of 80s pop, and then a whole lot of grunge, like early grunge. That's the stuff that I really liked. I really, you know.
I see.
Yeah, and see, now you know what I'm talking about, right? You know exactly.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yes. And it's so funny to me that that's what you fell in love with, you know, in the pop music world. Because for me, it's taken me some time to be like, okay, grunge actually has some interesting stuff in it. But for me, at first, it was like, ew, grunge.
Right. It's really uncomfortable, isn't it? But I realized later on in my classical training that I kind of sometimes gravitate to some of the, like the 20th century works, the more modern works that are a little crunchy, that are a little uncomfortable there too. So I think it's just the classical version of that. But the issue is, I had a couple of my favorite albums that I developed in my teenage years. And this is also kind of before when the internet was around, so you couldn't just go out and buy albums or download things. Like if you had an album, you had to go to the store and buy it. And we didn't have time to do that all the time. So I just sort of stuck with the albums that...
the albums and the artists and the names that you knew of, right? Like and the further you got into classical music, the more you were like, okay, let's check out who this conductor is done, or who this performer is done. It was
my assignments. You know? For classes. Like you had to study these things, and you had to learn to play these. And then all the symphony concerts I was playing in, like every 2 weekends, I would get familiar with a whole new symphony. And so I just stuck with my old favorites. I kind of never went back. There were just a couple that I picked up on, like maybe 2 or 3 in the years, and that's about it. So, like, I know you have your unique view, and honestly, I start out with movie reactions. That's one thing we were going to talk about today too.
Yes, I was going to talk about that. Well, we can go there now if it makes sense.
Let me just say this first. So I start with the movie reactions, but then when I realized people were doing music reactions, I hadn't considered doing my own until just recently, when I kept talking about more and more the music on my movie channel, and people were like, take your own hint. But I did find your channel, and I was like, this is really interesting. And your point of view is very unique, where you just really had no exposure. Where I did have the exposure, and that was one thing why I was like, well, I don't have that. But I realized, oh my goodness, I do have that exposure, but then I dropped it for like 20 or 25 years, and I never went back. And here I am, a music teacher, trying to get people to open their minds and develop new favorites. And you know what? I was like, it is my responsibility to know the popular music of today and the past decades. And I think you're catching on to that too. And not all of it is worthy, but a lot of it is. A lot of it is. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same thing, you know. I mean, I've always been a curious person. I've always been somebody to try to explore the limits and the boundaries, but you know, as you know, there is so much to explore.
Yeah.
And popular music, rock music, you know, I was always exploring, pushing the limits within the classical realm more. Not that I had some sort of idea that I shouldn't explore popular, but more that it just wasn't on my radar, and what I knew of it wasn't anything that really attracted me or made me curious about it. It was more like, another one of those, you know. It's true. I had never listened to popular music in an intentional way.
Right.
So what I heard was, you know, as people know, what comes on the speakers in the store or whatever, and that's just not something that appeals to me. And so that's. But that's one thing I wanted to ask you is, okay, so you're talking about this recognition that you should be familiar and you should explore and you should understand, but also within the classical realm, you said you stuck mainly with favorites, but did you find yourself exploring and pursuing throughout your career around the edges and boundaries of classical music, or you know, discovering new artists, new performers? Did you have that sort of curiosity and drive to take in more and discover more?
Totally. Or no.
Yeah.
I totally did, which is why, I just realized, like, what have I done? I've done that with this style of music, but I didn't do that with some music that I used to really love. And I'm just like, what have I done? Like, this is not how a really well-rounded musician should be doing. That we have more. It's really that responsibility. We have more responsibility to music in general, to really listen to as much as we can.
Right. But at the same time, you know, I can't be too hard on people. Well, I'm not trying to excuse myself, but I can't be too hard on musicians, classical musicians, rock, any musician who finds themselves immersed and passionate about a particular genre or style or
not at all.
even era. Because, I mean, if you just take the music aside, think of, okay, a medical doctor, and say they dive into research about brain, and they become a brain surgeon. They're focused there. They're not necessarily focusing on whatever is to be learned and explored about podiatry, let's say. You know, it's like I think people can understand that it's such a massive field, and when we find our passion and our specialty, yes, we're in there and we're exploring and discovering, but sometimes we just, you know, it's such a big world. We don't get to hear it all in a lifetime. And so it's such an exciting moment to realize, oh yeah, this is a great place to check out as well.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll even discover some new passions there.
And it's about learning. I love learning. Like, I'm a language nerd. And so I'm a music nerd too. I'm a sci-fi nerd. You know, I love all of it. And you know, what I think you're describing is like jack of all trades, master of nothing, right? Is that we have to be careful that we don't sample too much of everything and not ever follow a passion into one area, but at the
There's
same
always
time,
a balance to be struck.
it's
Yeah.
the balance, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I feel like I was a little unbalanced. I feel like I was focusing in too much on one genre, and it's just time to expand. And sure, I have the internet now, and I can dive in and do things, but I trust the fans. I really trust the fans better. And, you know, putting up the polls, it really helps to decide, or having direct requests. And I trust these people. And so far, it's been wonderful.
I think that the more you get into this project and this experience, I think the more you'll find that the people who gather around you, the fans, the people who love this music, it is a wonderful community, and it's a beautiful community, and there's so much to be learned and just absorbed from them and their input and their knowledge. And they will write you incredibly interesting messages and long details of history that you might otherwise have to explore and you know, spend hours and days researching, and it's just handed to you on a silver plate because of your fans and supporters. It's a wonderful thing.
And some people are not interested in that, but I am one of those who I really am. I really am.
Yeah.
I really like to get to know people. I like to understand different people's experiences. I like to understand why someone dislikes certain music or really likes it. I just, and it doesn't mean I have to agree with them all the time. I just like to exercise empathy, I guess. I'd like to spend some time in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
I just think it makes us all better humans. So that's
absolutely. And music is a wonderful way to do it that way.
It is. It is the universal language, is it not? It's just it's wonderful. So we could talk about the movie channel just a little bit, because that is part of this journey.
Yes, let's talk about the movie channel.
Right. So I started my movie reaction channel 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years next month, I think. And that channel's called OK Christina. And why I started that up, I'm not quite sure. I think it was encouragement from my family, because every time we would watch a movie together, I would be making comments out loud. and they just, sometimes they would find themselves laughing at me as much of the movie. You know, some people have infectious laughs. I don't know if I have an infectious laugh, but like I just really make lots of funny faces. And so they said, just video record yourself watching a movie one time. So I did, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. So I just tried it, and there were enough people that were like, hey, I like your vibe. I like, you know, so I just went with it, and it hasn't grown as much as it could have, but I have also been running a household and teaching and that sort of thing. And it takes a long time to edit movie edits, movie, you know. But
so that makes me think of, go ahead.
Well, I still love it though, and that channel is still up and running, so I'm still very much devoted to it, and I just don't get videos out as much as I'd like to, but they still are there, and I still have the fan base, and that's actually what I was going to bring up, is the fan base. We were talking about the people that surround you in this adventure. I've had a core group of fans from the movie channel, and the moment I started the music channel, they were the first to sign up over there. In fact, can I give some shout outs to just 3 of them?
Sure, go ahead.
I just have to say a big thank you. Well, first of all, to Lee, like you said, because he's been involved, but the 3 that have come over with me are the One True Chris, Red Dwarf, and Celeste McAllister. And I also had one original one named Ben. And so I just have to say thank you to all of them, because without their encouragement and without their support, I don't think I would be here. And just to tell everybody out there, it really does make a difference. If you really want to go in and support someone like this, it really can make a difference. So just wanted to get that out there.
And it's so interesting that you did the movie channel first and then the music channel.
Right.
And for me, it's kind of the opposite, because I actually did start a movie channel, I guess it's been about a year ago. And it's been kind of slow getting started because I've been so invested in this channel. But it's
it takes time, doesn't it? Movie
channels develop as well.
Take a lot of time.
Yeah. And so that one is Amy's cut, as in director's cut, but Amy's cut. And fun to check out as well. So one other question, because you were talking about, the teaching and the performing and all of that. If you had to choose at this point in your life, if you had to choose one or the other, whether it was teaching or performing on your instrument, where do you think you would have to, which side would you fall on? And why?
Maybe just at this point, I might go towards the teaching, but that could easily change in the future. Okay. In the future, I could be like, okay, time to perform some more. But because I'm doing both steadily right now. Right. Mm-hmm. But I really am passionate about the teaching part of it right now, and then also it just takes a lot of time to run a channel and also run a house because I'm also a mom. So I've got kids and pets.
Understand.
And things, but right now I'm just really into teaching. So it's not. I don't think I would choose if I had to. Oh my goodness, I'm glad I have the teaching there, but. Like I spent so many years, like a couple of decades, doing concerts every weekend, and it can wear on you after a while. It's because you have to be tip top, you have to be practicing constantly. It's not just the performances. If there's a symphony performance on a Saturday and a Sunday, you've got 3 or 4 nights a week where you're in rehearsal from 7:30 to 10 p.m. every single night. Sometimes you're driving an hour and a half to get there and back. It's exhausting.
I know the life.
Yes, I know. Exactly.
I know the life. That's it.
Exactly. And so I've done that a lot. And so I don't mind backing off of that, just that aspect of it. To do the channel work and to teach. But that's the thing. You said flexible. It's just where the career takes you. You just go. And I'm sure things will fluctuate and come back. And so you never know when I'll be. Yeah. You just never know. Just ride the wave. Just
ride the wave. Go with it and enjoy the ride.
But that's a tough question. That was a good question.
I know. It's a hard question. It's really unfair because I feel like, anyway.
I'm just lucky right now I don't have to completely choose, and whatever choice I'm making is to keep the balance that I'm choosing to keep right now. And I'm very happy with everything. Very happy. That's good. So I hope it's the same for you too.
Yep. Good, definitely.
Good.
And one more question, going back to your experience with popular music before you kind of zeroed in on classical. And then, of course, your family background as well. So growing up, you said choral music and all these musicians. Was your family themselves, were they into popular music or whatever was happening contemporary? So your family is kind of like mine too, right? So you really just got it in your school.
Yeah, it was just like off the radio experience. Or I would go to the roller skating rink, and it was just mainly off the radio. And I didn't really do that until like 9th or 10th grade, like 14, 15 years. So from like age 15 to about 18 is when and I have to say, I had excellent taste during those years. And I made an excellent mixed tape back in the day, like totally. Okay. Or mixed CD, whatever. But I grew up with just classical music, like hymnal type music, the 4-part harmony. What else? A couple of easy listening things maybe my mom would sort of go into. And it was that, maybe from movies. So that's the other thing is I love movie soundtracks. So, and that I have stayed mostly like on the movies that I've seen, because again I got away from movies too, which is why I started the movie channel. It's for the same reason, because I love movies and then I didn't have time to watch very many of them for like 25 years. So some of the movie scores that I know I really love, and then there are so many out there that I still have yet to understand. And I've loved seeing this evolution with movie music. It used to be like in symphonies, so 20 years ago, we would do a pops concert and we would have some movie music on there. And not everybody, but a lot of people would be like, it's just the movie music. It's just, and now it's being taken more seriously, like for even video games. And I don't really play video games that much either. I really, and so I don't know all of that music either, but it is its own like classical genre itself that's coming up, like John Williams, Michael Kamen.
Yes.
And there's a bit of crossover. There are some classical composers that are also writing for movie music. So I'm hoping that's something that I can dive into more on my channel as well. So we'll get
all right. That's going to be fun. Okay, so this brings us to the moment of our grand experiment and moment of fun today together. And I have to tell you all watching this that Vlad has orchestrated this carefully.
Beautifully.
So,
bravo.
Here's what's going to happen. We have a piece of music to listen to. Christina and I are going to listen to it together for the first time for both of us today, right now. And we're going to explore, have a discussion about it between us, and you'll get to observe and participate, enjoy this time that we have together here. But Vlad has chosen this piece of music, and neither of us know what it is. Well, of course, he's very confident that I haven't heard it. But he had to communicate with Christina's husband to make sure that the piece he selected is one that she had never heard as well. Because, of course, as you now know, she's had a bit of popular music exposure back in her school years. And so he wanted to make sure that it was something that neither of us knew. So he's been in communication with Christina's husband, and to make sure that whatever he selected was no chance she would know it. He has erased the titles from the sound files. And in fact, Christina doesn't even have the sound file or the score in hand at the moment. Vlad is getting ready to email it over to her right now while we're on camera. He's going to come in here and say hi for a moment. This has been a lot of fun to put together.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Christina. So I just emailed you the audio file and the score, so you can download them right now.
Everything on my laptop.
And I will give a hint to both of you, because you will have to play this game. Let's see if you will be able to recognize the band and if you can guess the title of the song from the lyrics. But I'll give you this hint. You, Christina, I looked over your channel, and you did listen to one song performed by this band, and you liked it a lot. Now, Amy had listened to 2 of these band songs, so it's not something that she is very familiar with neither.
Oh, this is terrifying.
She enjoyed it a lot
at least have
as
a
well.
Reference.
So it's something that it's an artist, it's a band that both of you really enjoyed, and it's a very popular piece of music. It's a great piece of music, actually, with a very interesting story behind, and you will get to learn about it afterwards. But for now, you will just, we will do, of course, the usual 3, 2, 1 on camera to make sure that both of you hit play at the same time. You will listen uninterrupted, and then we all, and I can hardly wait to listen to what both of you will have to say, if you will be able to guess the artist. Okay, one more.
I'll probably fail.
Okay, no, don't say that. No, don't start like this. Look. Okay, I'll give you one more hint, okay? Listen to the guitar.
All right.
Okay? Good. All right.
Okay.
Let's do that. We will do the 3, 2, 1 thing, and then
we have to make sure we have the score.
then you will start listening.
And maybe.
All right?
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. Well, now you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out of the rain to hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places. But the horns, they blowing that sound. Way on down south, way on down south, London town. You check out Guitar George, he knows all the chords. But it's strictly rhythm, he doesn't want to make it cry or sing. If then an old guitar is all he can afford, when he gets up under the lights to play his thing. And Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job, he's doing alright. He can play the honky-tonk like anything.
This voice, I know this voice.
Saving it up Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of swing. Crowd of young boys, they're fooling around in the corner, drunk and dressed in their best brown baggies in their platform soles. They don't give a damn about any trumpet playing band. It ain't what they call rock and roll. And the Sultans, yeah, the Sultans that play Creole. 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 Microphone and says at last, just as the time bell rings, good night, now it's time to go home. Then he makes it fast with one more thing. We are the Sultans, we are the Sultans of swing.
Okay. Okay, first of all, I enjoyed it.
Me too.
I really enjoyed
Me
it.
too. It was very upbeat, wasn't it?
Kind of. It's kind of moody, upbeat in a moody sort of
like
way.
engaging.
I like the way it kind of shifts, and it's like this. So Vlad is sitting behind the camera. He's like, who do you think it is?
Oh. Okay, well,
I don't know. I'm being pulled in two different directions, actually. So
well,
go ahead.
I have a guess, and it's almost not fair. It's just simply because I only have like 13 reactions on my channel. So if it's going to be one of them, and honestly, the only reason why and I'm not going to guess it yet. I'm just putting the input as to why I think this is my guess, is I might be recognizing a little bit of the timbre of the guitar, but then also the vocals don't sound that familiar to me, like the voice of the lead singer.
Okay.
And that is because if I'm right on this, the one song that I've listened to by this group, the vocalist was not that much in the spotlight. Like you could barely hear the vocals. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
And so before I say anything, I want to say the two things that are standing out to me. Yeah. I recognize this voice.
Do you?
I can't remember who, but his delivery is like, the delivery of this is in a style that I also recognize that I've listened to, but I don't think it's that particular performer. At the same time, the guitar is pulling me way back to a piece that I listened to kind of early in my journey. And somehow when I hear the guitar solos, it sends me over to this particular artist, guitarist, singer. And so I am torn. And at the same time, I'm like, maybe I've missed them all. So,
well, like I said, I think
now I have
the
another
advantage.
Problem.
Yeah, I think you're at the disadvantage.
I have another problem.
Uh-oh, what's that?
My mind has gone blank on this one. Who's the guy? He's famous, but this is the one I don't think it is. But I need your help, Vlad. The guitarist, folk rock, who did the one about the fighter. Bob Dylan, yeah. The delivery of the lyrics reminds me of Bob Dylan in style. Okay. It does. But somehow I don't recognize it as Bob Dylan's voice. Yeah. So I'm not going to go with Bob Dylan. Also the music mix doesn't sound like Bob Dylan's
I would agree.
Performance
and
style.
I haven't heard a lot of Bob Dylan. But I agree. Okay. It's sort of the slidey vocals, but yeah, I don't think that's. I think I know the timbre of his voice, and
the guitar sound is sending me towards what I remember in Mark Knopfler and Brothers in Arms. And so that's where I'm going, because and I didn't notice it so much in the vocal stuff in the verses, but I heard it in the guitar solos as being that special guitar touch and sound and style that I remember.
Look, I swear I didn't tell anything to Amy. I swear.
Did I get it right?
I did.
What was
yes.
it? What is it?
Mark Knopfler is the guitarist.
Yes.
And the singer. But what's the band's name? I forget.
Can I guess?
Sure.
This is my guess. Is it Dire Straits?
Dire Straits. Yeah.
Okay, you read.
Okay, so he's just pulling up a little background info for me.
Yes,
so I'll read it for our benefit.
Yes, please. For my benefit. Yes.
Sultans of Swing. Oh yeah, I did hear Sultans of Swing. Right. And I guess I remember now that a lot of people have said you've got to hear Sultans of Swing, but I didn't remember which band. Okay. Was written by lead vocalist and guitarist Mark Knopfler. Let me turn it this way, it's easier. The demo of the song was recorded at Pathway Studios, North London in July 1977 and quickly acquired a following after it was put in rotation on BBC Radio London. The single would go on to reach the top 5 in Canada, South Africa, and the United States, as well as the top 10 in Australia, Ireland, and the United Kingdom. The song has since remained a staple of classic rock radio and is one of the band's most recognizable songs. And here, neither of us knew it. Sultans of Swing was originally composed by Mark Knopfler on a National steel guitar in open tuning. He thought the song was dull until he bought his first Fender Stratocaster in 1977. Quote, "It just came alive as soon as I played it on that 61 Strat. The new chord changes that presented themselves and fell into place." The lyrics were inspired by a performance of a Dixieland jazz band playing in the corner of an almost empty pub in Deptford, South London. At the end of their performance, the lead singer announced their name, the Sultans of Swing. Knopfler found the contrast between the group's dowdy appearance and surroundings and their grandiose name amusing. Ken Tucker of Rolling Stone singled out Sultans of Swing as a highlight of the album for its inescapable hook. Yeah, got us going.
Yep.
And compared Knopfler's vocal stylings to those of Bob Dylan. Okay.
Nailed it.
The song is on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 Songs That Shaped Rock and Roll list, Dire Straits' only appearance. Guitar World ranked its guitar solo at the 22nd greatest, and Rolling Stone named it the 32nd greatest guitar song.
Oh. Wow.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't bad. I think we did a really good job.
We weren't so bad
proud
as I
of
thought
us.
we would be. Right? Okay. So, I'm feeling a little bit good now. But you have to know that I'm in the middle of doing this whole Beatles series. And early on in my Beatles listening experience, I was playing this guessing game of who was singing each song.
Right.
And sometimes I would get them so wrong. And I was so astonished because, coming from a background where there's choral music and vocal music, and I recognize voices.
Right.
It was so weird to me to not be able to place, is that John or is that Paul or is that... And then I started to recognize that it's because of the different treatments they gave the voices, with recording techniques and stuff. So, so now I'm feeling pretty good that I recognized a voice.
Yeah,
I recognized the guitar style.
I definitely,
And
the guitar is what sounded familiar to me. But again, I was at a loss with the voice because the only other Dire Straits I've heard is Brothers in Arms. And in that one, the voice is so quiet that I really didn't get the chance.
And he sings in a different style. Like I said, this sounds like a Bob Dylan delivery.
It does. That's why I was like, this seems so upbeat, but it's
but
more
Brothers in
serious,
Arms is not anything what I associate with Bob Dylan. It's more romantic and bluesy. So
yeah.
although, well, this is bluesy too, but in a different way.
Right,
but anyway,
right. No, I get you. And actually, I was taking notes in between, and I was like, I'm hearing like flamenco and jazz, and then I heard
there was some
honky-tonk
flamenco and some really
Creole.
Spanish type feel there, and some delicate improvisation, almost like just sprinkling flower petals falling off the trees.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, I like that. And also sort of this idea of maybe like I was picturing a battle of the bands. Like talking about there's a band playing and just like get one more song in and this style or that style or, it was really creating an interesting story in my mind.
It did. And I guess I was noticing more it's funny because when I listened to Brothers in Arms for the first time, I really felt this duality that I felt like the voice and the guitar. Now I'm thinking back to that because that one made a real impression on me. The voice and the guitar were functioning as equal voices, separate but equal, and they each brought an emotional element. Now here, I didn't pick up so much on a feeling of duality, but more this agility and sort of what's the word I want? Fleeting quality of mood, and one time it's here, then boom, down here, and it's like you you can hear the eyebrows and the winks
Right.
and
The story
and
has some turns to it,
and and the glances and
Right.
all of that. So
Right.
yeah.
Definitely more energy here. But I think, with Brothers in Arms, it was just such a serious. In fact, it was so serious. Like, it took me a while to catch on to what actually was going on. By the end, I was like, okay, I think I see what this is. But for a long time, I was like, what are they singing? Like, I could barely hear the voice, But this I think is a little bit more straightforward. It's a little more fun.
Yeah.
A little more exciting.
It feels a bit more meant for popular appeal.
Yeah.
It's
got a good beat.
It has a good beat. It has a nice kind of syncopated feel.
Yeah.
And the way it's articulated with the drums and the guitar, I feel is really catchy.
Yeah, and it's comfortable.
Catchy, and
I say that a lot.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
It's a comfortable listen.
Definitely. And I'm looking now through the lyrics, which I wasn't paying attention to so much.
Yeah, I wasn't reading along with lyrics or anything. I was just like picking out a few.
Yeah. It starts out, you get a shiver in the dark. It's raining in the park. But meantime, south of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie. I caught that word Dixie. I was like, okay, Dixie. This is throwing us into a certain, not just part of the world, but a certain part of the United States.
Right, exactly.
And then I guess that might be one of the things that threw me off, because I live in Tennessee. And, there's a lot of the history of that time in the United States, which is still alive and well here in Tennessee. And, in certain circles, this Dixieland is romanticized and idealized, of course. And so when I heard that, Dixie, somehow it anchored it so strongly in the southern part of the United States that I was thinking it more in terms of the United States, America,
right,
rather than, and maybe that's one of the things that threw me off a bit, because, and so Dylan, and also the delivery style, Dylan, of course, an American artist. It kind of threw me away from, pushed me away from the idea that this could be a British musician band, right?
I was thinking Southern, and there's almost a hint of country.
Yeah, it feels it,
right?
Yes,
right?
Yes, it does. It kind of does.
But then maybe I heard something about London, and I was like, oh.
I did, later.
Okay, I was like, all right. Whoops.
Yeah, but it was towards the end.
Across the pond, here we go.
Coming in out of the rain to you, hear the jazz. Again, jazz, right? So, Dixie and jazz. And then, too much competition, too many other places. Way on down south. Okay, again, down south. But then, way on down south, London town.
That's what I heard. And I was like, wait a minute.
And so then that was the moment where it kind of, and I guess that's maybe one of the things that contributes to this almost Quicksilver feeling of mood and place, is that he's putting you in one place and then throwing you into a whole different continent, a whole different part of the world so quickly, and you don't hear it coming, you don't feel it coming. It's suddenly, oh, London town.
Right. Well, again, universal. So they're taking the music as universal language and turning the whole song into a universal thing across the globe.
You check out Guitar George. He knows all the chords. Oh, this was funny to me, right? This is one of those, this line almost, in a way, okay, maybe it's not as legendary, I don't know, but somehow I don't feel like it's quite as iconic as Cohen's Hallelujah, the fourth and the fifth and all of that opening line there. But still, I love it when I find a really great application of musical terminology in the lyrics of a song, which is not about music itself.
Yeah.
And so you check out Guitar George. He knows all the chords. Mind, he's strictly rhythm. He doesn't let's see, where did it go? He doesn't want to make it cry or sing. In other words, he just likes to strum away. Again, back to country, bluegrass, something, right? Strum.
Just playing because you love to play? Just playing to have music in the background?
You're not playing the solo guitar where you have all the expression and passion. It's the rhythm. It's the rhythm. Guitar George.
Right. But then at the same time,
an old guitar is all.
There were some nice little guitar solo moments in this piece, you know.
Oh yes. those were key for me as far as figuring out what it is.
Yeah. I agree. It was the timbre, the sound of the guitar.
So I feel like this piece is really playful.
Yes.
Even though I wouldn't describe the music itself as a playful sounding music.
No, it's not too bright.
As you said, it's sort of upbeat.
Yeah.
But it's not bright and it's not playful. But somehow it's playing with us. It's playing with our expectations and our understanding of the world to the point where it pulls surprises on us along the way.
I agree. It's
But isn't it interesting that it's not doing that harmonically, because the chords are pretty
it's repetitive,
standard, right?
Right? Yes. But again, that's why it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And sometimes
so we have
just
the comfortable chords. Even the vocal delivery, all of it is not. There's nothing shocking.
No.
There's nothing coming at us and saying, kind of screaming at you and then saying, "Ha ha, you didn't see that coming." It's more like it's
a groove.
it's a subtle sort of sophisticated playfulness.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's the kind where you sit back and listen to it, and then because it's dependable, then you can really kind of listen in carefully to those solos and catch more of those words. You know, if you don't have scores and words in front of you or whatever, you know, if you're listening to it on the radio, you're like, hey, this is a catchy tune. And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point.
And you could leave it just at that
you
easily,
could leave
right?
it at that if you wanted to. But this could be somebody's favorite song because of the feel of it.
It kind of pulls you in as well.
Right. So
if you wish to pay attention.
I can see how this would really be able to touch somebody, you know, and it's also whatever mood you're in. So one thing on my channel, I always say, would I listen to this song again? And this one, I definitely would. I'd put it in my playlist.
I think I would too. Yeah.
Like it's great for around in the car, you know, or, you know, getting ready in the morning. It gets you moving. But at the same time, it's not too hectic, you know, or too deep. You know?
That's a great point. You know, it's kind of like the sort of piece that you can turn on in the morning if you really don't feel like getting up yet, and you're like, I got to get myself moving. Okay, turn on something that gets me moving, but doesn't
shock you.
Feel too jarring.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. This category of this piece of the song. I love it.
Perfect.
It's really fun. And again, this is just my second experience here with Dire Straits, and I had heard a lot about it on the channel, like Dire Straits, and I'm just like, oh, what are they? Oh no, what have I missed? And you know, and then you talked in the intro about the guitar, so it is that steel guitar sound, but it's an electric, and it's and I even remember the picture. There's a picture for Brothers in Arms. There was a picture of this steel guitar with a blue background, and I just I think that's a really unique take into rock music. I think that's really really unique, really inventive.
There was one line somewhere along here in one of the guitar solos. Let me see. Oh yeah, here. Okay, this is one of the things that really, and if you know me or if you follow my channel, you know that I love. And it comes from, I'm sure it comes from my background growing up with choral music and classical music. But when there is a beautiful melody, I find it irresistible. And the guitar solo, the first guitar solo, it had this wonderful ascending melodic line. I circled it as we went by because I was like, oh wow, that
really
was
stood out.
special. And it, I almost hate to say it stood out because there was so much that was so beautiful in the guitar solos. But it seemed like such a great example and so singable as well. And well, I've only heard it once.
Right.
And it's in bar 133. It was bar 133 that I picked out as being 133, 134. That wonderful arching line there that seemed so representative. It would probably sound amazing on the violin. And for me to go to now play this as it was performed, because of course this is let's see if I can erase my mark that covered up that note. But it was, I'm not pretending to do it in the style that it was done, because I've just heard so much. But it's basically an A chord, right?
A7.
Yeah. Let's see. Bum bum bum. Oh, I need a. No, I don't need. That's a D minor. I almost expected a D major there, but it's D minor.
It goes to D minor, yeah.
Yeah. It's just such a lovely melodic line.
It is, and,
Like,
and all of the bendy
I'd love
stuff.
to hear that on the.
Here, let me.
Yeah, the bendy stuff, which I can't do. I love to hear it on the violin because
let me try
I feel
it.
like the violin would handle it better.
That's right. So
Yeah, try
here's
that.
our other guest artist for the day is my violin. And my channel is still, being the baby channel, I still am all hooked up with wires. I don't have like AirPods and Bluetooth and stuff. So
Oh yeah, that'll complicate your playing a bit.
that's right. But I can do it. I can do it. I can play. I've played in many unusual situations. We'll make
I
it
bet
work.
you have, yeah.
So, yes. So that little A7 spot that goes into the D minor.
Uh-huh. Yes. So it's basically a 5/7 to a minor 1.
Right. I love they even are trying to indicate some of those little slides, and so
They do try.
oh, I love it. I love it. That's a lot of fun.
For some reason I'm not hearing it come through on the mic.
Yeah, I think
it
it's
might
the
be
Zoom.
a setting.
I think it's the Zoom.
Yeah, probably
So
so.
I couldn't hear
but
it.
as long as it's picking up on your recording mic,
it's
so
picking
that
it up right here.
so
And
that
same
our
thing,
audience
I couldn't
can
hear
hear
the
it.
notes on the harp either, but we'll.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so Vlad might want to cut
We'll have to
this
figure out
part
how to-
out, but I don't know.
We'll have to figure out how to do that because
know.
it would be fun to be like able to like, you know, you play a melody, me accompany with chords. But
know.
we have to be able to hear each other
Wouldn't
for
that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun? If we had to, we could do like where you provide something and then I add another layer and then you could record another layer and we could,
Yeah,
you know.
I know there's a way to make it work on even on Zoom, but have to figure out the settings for that.
Yeah.
So that's just a little sample of the beautiful melodic gems that I heard in this piece. And melody is one of the things that I'm drawn towards.
Yeah.
It just pulls me that way.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate things that are more chordal, but a good melody just really grabs you.
It does. It does. Yeah.
And I think Dire Straits does that really well. I think they're really good at developing a melody that isn't overwhelming, but it's also not overdone when it's repeated. That's what I'm catching on with this group. So it's catchy. It's catchy.
It's catchy, but they develop something. They develop the music as well. They take it somewhere, so we don't feel like we're just sitting and hearing the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
And so it keeps us engaged.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I love a good minimalistic piece when it's just,
of course,
start right in a fast machine. Like, hey, it's all good, but if you're wanting to be comfortable, we keep saying that word, but if you just want to sit back and listen, you want it to work well with your ear and not cause you stress. So I think this is one of those that's a lot of fun to listen to.
It'd be kind of fun if we kind of lived with this song for a little bit, both of us, and then each of us did a sort of separate follow-up video, say, kind of digging into, after we've listened to it a while, do a sort of like in-depth or pull it apart sort of, and see what are the things that really grow on us and that we explore deeper as we listen to the piece. That'd be kind of a fun follow-up to this. That would be first listen.
That would be, and I haven't done a lot of that yet on my channel. I know you've done some deeper dives like this, and so
I have.
But this is one reason why we do this sort of thing.
But you do it all the time with your students, right?
Exactly. So that's pretty much what I do.
You know how to do it. You just you know how to do it as a musician.
In fact, I should be careful because once I get going, if I hit record, I'll never stop. So definitely like a good deep dive like this. No, that's a great idea, and again, that encourages me to kind of build some of that content, which I haven't really been able to tap into yet. But that's a great idea, and this is a great one to do that with. All of those little solos.
Yeah, well, that's going to be. I think. It's going to come back, of course, for me, because I've just started a new series on my channel called Amy's Playlist. So the ones that make my playlist,
right?
Where I do go back and kind of re-explore, and after I've lived with it for a while, so.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will come back around on my channel.
It's hard to come up with a first quick judgment, but that is what we've been trained to do. It really is. Like you listen to a student play and you've got to critique.
And not only that, if you go into a recording session, you see the music handed to you. You have to learn to do the quick study, is what we call it. The quick study, and put it out there. But it's a whole different dynamic than just living with the music for a long time. And I love both.
Yeah.
I love both.
Me too.
And I love the challenge of the quick study and the way it requires me to think on my feet, be quick on my toes.
And that first reaction.
But also,
it's exciting.
Yeah.
Right? It's exciting.
But I also love living with a piece and just getting to know it intimately in every detail. And so
that's one thing with the channel so far. I can tell certain songs that have really resonated with me because I'll have it stuck in my head like later that night. And
you're singing over all night long
in the classical world too,
Oh yes.
Like you walk out of rehearsal humming or whistling the main theme, like you just can't help yourself. And you can tell when it's a really catchy theme because a lot of us are doing the same thing. We're all whistling the same melody line as we're leaving to go home. So that's kind of what this is. So
I guess the thing that would be catchy in this one for me, what would I walk out singing or vocalizing? I guess it would be the rhythm, that sort of catchy hook rhythm that carries through.
Yeah. Some of
the melody itself. Yeah, the melody itself. In order for me to, it's more of a spoken delivery.
It is. It's almost, yeah, like a stretch schema, almost.
So it's not quite the sort of thing that I would find myself walking out of rehearsal and repeating. Yeah. No, it's the rhythmic element, the element that makes it feel upbeat.
Right. So you would be walking out bopping your head. That's what you would be doing. That's and I think that's the goal of this music is.
And isn't it interesting that for a piece that has such beautiful melodic content, we wouldn't necessarily find ourselves singing the melody as what we walk out. It's so interesting noticing all the different ways that music pulls us and doesn't pull us.
Right. I think I would be listening for the guitar solos though, and like my eyebrows would be following the directions of, and really appreciating. I did that just in this first listen, like da 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 da. You're like, woo,
Yeah.
great notes there. But and I'm looking at the score here. Like this would make an excellent etude for the violin. Probably harp as well, but the little 16th notes, like
you know what you should do? You should play the guitar solo on your violin. You should work it up as a solo and do a cover of the solo on your channel. I would love to hear that.
I've done that with one other piece because I had a string quartet for years and years, and we had a fabulous arrangement of Sweet Child of Mine. So I did that little guitar riff a few times. And it is a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
you have to really push your boundaries a little bit. But yeah, this is
Oh, yeah.
this looks like a lot of fun. I think that's an excellent idea.
Well, this was so much fun.
Yes. Speaking of fun.
It would be fun to do it again, wouldn't it?
Yes.
We should. But I'm so glad to have you here with me and to have had this time together, kind of.
It has been a pleasure
Get to
be here.
Get to spend some time and get a bit more acquainted.
Yes, absolutely.
And I hope that everybody out there on my channel enjoys this time we've had together. Now you can see, I tell you sometimes how it is when two musicians get together and we start talking about music. You see that we could sit and spend the next 5 hours together and having a blast the whole
total
time.
nerd fest. Music nerds.
It's just the way it is.
Music nerds rock. I say it all the time.
Yeah. And it's the sort of thing that just energizes me and makes me feel so happy and good for the rest of the day.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Here we are. You've made a great start to my day.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too.
So we will certainly be staying in touch.
Mhm.
Hopefully we can do some more projects together along the road.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best on your channel. And I hope
you.
that everybody goes over and checks out your channel. Like it, subscribe it, follow her, share the passion and love that you have so beautifully shared with me. And let's just embrace everybody in this YouTube musical community.
There's room
and
for
cultivate.
all of us, isn't there?
Yes.
Room for all of us.
There is more than that. We benefit from each other, the sharing of
the
ideas,
development
and
of this community.
yeah.
I think it's important.
Just make it grow,
Yeah.
and let's grow it together.
Yes.
And
yes.
I look forward to the future of all that we can create together.
Yeah, me too.
in our
Me as well. This is
little
really
corners
exciting.
of the music of the YouTube world.
Yeah. And who would have thought?
Yeah.
Here we
Who
are.
would have thought?
Yeah, it's wonderful. So much
Yeah.
fun.
Thanks again for taking the time. I enjoyed it so much, and we'll be seeing you soon, and I'll be keeping an eye on your channel.
Thank you. I will be seeing you online as well. This is really, really fun.
All right. All the best wishes.
Thanks. You too.